Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am here with David, and we are talking today about when it is okay and not okay to break the rules. Last week, we began a conversation that definitely deserved follow-up, and obviously the timing of this week's energy and the support that the universe is bringing to us fits perfectly. It's another extension of the Leo discussion that we've been having over the last few weeks. The tendency of the Leo, and we're all going to be a little bit Leo this month, is to feel the need to feel powerful, to feel empowered, to be in control, and not to control others. It's not that kind of control. It's just that sense of feeling that power to see the impact and the effect that we have. And inevitably, there enters the question, breaking rules. And I think it happens for a lot of us. And you see, tons of all the information out there about breaking generational cycles and changing the status quo. There is definitely spiritual merit to that, and we will get into it. But part of human nature is to seek rules and boundaries. We learn it when kids are young, that they thrive on that consistent schedule. They need to know boundaries from their parents and their caregivers. Even when you come to study spirituality, right? You want to understand the spiritual laws of the universe. And it often happens with people. I don't know. I see it a lot when people come to study Kabbalah and they realize, oh my gosh, I'm a people pleaser, and that's not actually sharing, it's selfish. So I'm not going to share with anybody anymore. I'm going to say no to everybody. I'm not going to do anything for anyone else ever. That's my new rule. And then hopefully somebody tells them that's not the point. The point is not to do all or nothing. That desire to go to extremes or to have these rules, these fences put up for ourselves to keep us from tripping and falling again. The real measure of a spiritual person is that ability to feel the situation, to feel the person in front of them, and to be able to navigate each situation independent of any other. So how do we reconcile? How do we work with the part of us that wants the rules, that needs the structure and the consistency, the predictability and the control, versus the other part of us? I think it was a couple months ago, we had Daniel Naor on the podcast.
Yes.
And he spoke about writing your own rule book. And we gave it maybe 5 minutes, but I think that this is really the unpacking of that idea, is that each one of us has a unique soul with a unique journey, with unique baggage.
Yes.
And even though you can learn from the rules and the habits and the mindset of others, you're here to be nobody but yourself. So I think that's a good place to start from.
Yeah, as I was thinking about how powerful of a topic this is, I was thinking, what is the answer to the question? Because it is a powerful topic, and a lot of us are living our lives by rules that were inherited from generations, societal rules, religious rules. And on one hand, they serve us and we reinforce them when they serve us. But on the other hand, can they be limiting us in some way? We see that the most successful people in this world who also innovate and who bring the world progress and move us forward are actually the rule breakers. So what's going on here? But we also see a lot of the rule breakers are in jail. So there must be something divine that is somewhere in the middle, that is actually connected to the light as opposed to disconnected from the light of the Creator. And I was thinking about what it really means. And I think that there's a couple different parts to it. So I'm just going to start sharing, Elisheva, based on our experience and what we feel is energetically the right thing, because this is the week where we can see what our soul is meant to do and where we are meant to be. We can get a vision for where our place ultimately should be, which really means it's already there. And that means rising above the limitations, rising above the rules. There's this concept that in the end of times, when quote unquote the Messiah comes, which is really a consciousness. Messiah is a consciousness that the whole world will adopt, or at least a critical mass of the world will adopt, where they will see that being selfish or being reactive, it doesn't serve them. Essentially, I'm oversimplifying it, but this is the consciousness. And as a result, there will be miracles everywhere,
and
because
the end of pain and suffering, because all pain and suffering is caused by selfishness.
That's right. When a person is selfish, they're actually causing negative forces to be created, which is the cause of their suffering. So and there's that shift that will happen. But it says that when that happens, the quote unquote rules will be nullified. Rules will not be needed because the prevailing consciousness will allow people to be a channel of what is the right and wrong thing to do. The analogy I heard is when you walk into a store to buy something, you are going to be fighting for the lowest price, and the shopkeeper is fighting for the highest price. So you start to, but the price of that item, let's say, is $100. You're going to offer $80, and he's going to say it's $120. And then you're going to meet in the middle at $100. And that's the true price. It says, in the time of Messiah, you're going to walk into the store. You're going to offer $120. The shopkeeper is going to ask for $80. And you'll say, look, we'll meet in the middle at $100. So nothing will be different. Still, the marketplace will win, but it's the consciousness of the people will be totally different. I'm going to try to get you to pay less, and you're going to want to pay more because you feel that by giving more and adding more value, you receive more. Exactly. So this is ultimately a shift in consciousness, but we're not there yet. Everyone's trying to be a good negotiator, and we want a lot for as little as possible. So that's really the consciousness right now. So going back to the rules. Number one, I remember something so powerful that every night before Moses would go to sleep, he would say to the Creator, maybe everything that I did today was completely wrong. And I think it's such a powerful thing. Like, what is the secret of Moses saying maybe everything I did, every rule I followed and created could be completely wrong? What is the power of that? Why is that so deep? How is this person who has written the greatest selling book of all time, that is a sourcing all these religions all around the world, billions and billions of people are listening, following in some way or another, even Christians and Catholics, this man Moses said, every night, part of the secret of his divine inspiration and his prophecy was that he thought all of it was completely wrong, potentially. So this is a big secret for all of us, which is no matter what we think is right, no matter what rules we are following that are working for us, it's the openness that maybe we are wrong, the openness that maybe we need to do it differently, the openness that maybe it needs to be optimized is what brings a newness, and it refreshes whatever connection to the rules you have. It's the stubbornness, it's the closed-mindedness, it's the I am absolute about the way I have to do things that causes the light of the Creator not to give you further insight. It's almost like a software update. And you ever see, your computer has antivirus software. And if the computer wasn't open to if the computer said, okay, part of the antivirus software is nothing new will come to this computer. That's how we're going to avoid new viruses. Well, what about the software update that you need? Because your antivirus software is 3, 4, 5 months old. So these rules that we all have, they were good for 3, 4, 5 months ago. But times are changing. Your soul is changing. You've probably evolved to new levels of consciousness, but you're using old rules. So one of the meditations we can all employ right away is, at the end of the day, just say, Creator, I'm going to move forward with what I am doing, because it's also not good to doubt yourself. It's also not good to be wishy-washy. But I'm also open that if I'm going down the wrong path, I ask that you show me and guide me and help adjust the way I'm doing things. This openness of being very extreme, very resolute about how you do stuff, which is very important, but also being very open that you could be very wrong, It sounds contradictory, but it is actually a superpower. What do you think about that?
Well, that idea of needing to know or having a plan. Like, how many times do we stay up at night thinking about a meeting that we're going to have tomorrow and how's it going to play out and who's going to say what, and how you have a presentation or you're going to have a conversation with somebody and you play the film reel in your head, you remember how it worked out last time or how you felt disrespected, all those different things. And you say, tomorrow I'm going to this.
Yep.
Or the moment that they say this, I'm going to walk out the room. Like, we create this fixed reality. And that's actually something else that
Why do you think we do that? Is this a defense mechanism?
I think it's for control.
It's one way. It's kind of OCD. It's one way.
Imagined control. And it's completely imagined, right? Because the meeting hasn't happened or the conversation hasn't happened. It may be based on history, but the fact that history repeats itself is because of this tendency, not because it's natural for history to repeat itself.
Yep.
Because humans perpetuate their patterns and their habits. And there are rules, again, that the ability to be able to say, this is how I'd like to see it play out, but I'm open to something else. Or here's the best case scenario, but I'm willing for the universe or the creator to take it to a different direction. Doesn't relinquish, or in that sort of relinquishing of control, we actually increase our experience of fulfillment in it. And I'll give you an example, right? You may have a rule, or imagine it may be a rule in your home, many listeners as well, that you got to clean up the kitchen before you go to bed, right?
Okay.
Do the dishes. Don't leave dirty dishes in the sink. Great thing, probably very good for pests in the house and sanitation and la, la, la. But if you're really strict about it, a rule like that can also prevent you from having people over at night because you don't want to clean up afterwards.
Subconsciously.
So you have this aversion to socializing in your home, not because you don't love people or you don't have friends, but because you don't want to have to clean up afterwards. And you don't realize that rule about dishes or cleanliness creates an antisocial behavior.
Subconscious antisocial behavior. Subconscious rules have subconscious side effects that we're not aware of.
Right. And then you're looking at social media and seeing all your friends outside having fun, doing things, hosting, and you say, oh, I wish I could do that, or I could never do that. That is really those kind of rules. We're not talking about the rules that keep you safe and healthy, that you don't eat after 7 p.m. Okay, it's also good to be flexible once in a while. You might get invited to a party or a wedding or whatever, and it's okay to eat after 7 in that case. But the idea that we are meant to be our own Magellan. I know it sounds funny like that, but what Daniel was sharing a few months ago and what I've really been thinking a lot about and reading a lot about is that quest for individuation, it's actually called, that we're meant to be who we're meant to be and not like anyone else. And our subconscious desire to follow rules and to live predictably, right? A lot of that is about, I feel safe when I know what's going to happen. And last week, David talked about so profoundly this idea that, being able to desire something, have a target, have a goal, have an outcome, but also be able to
be uncompromising about your vision, but flexible on how you get there.
Exactly. That you shouldn't, there's nothing in Kabbalah says that you shouldn't desire the opposite. And that's actually one of the things that I think challenges me most about being a parent is when my kid asks for something, not squelching his or her desire when I tell her no, or not now.
That's right.
To continue to foster that desire, but at the same time, teach them that there's other ways to be fulfilled.
And one of the ways, I want everybody listening to connect to this energy, because when rules have, I just came up with this analogy, all right? I think it's interesting. It makes it very interesting. And one time I spoke to a one of my mentors, he's a health doctor, So I asked, what's this high protein diet thing? I said, you're suggesting a high protein diet, like, I don't know how much crazy amount of grams a day. A lot of people are doing this, And he's like, but what about high cholesterol and gout and all these things that come from eating a lot of meat? So he said something so profound to me. He said, look, I've been doing this for 30 years. All of those people, you're right. If you eat a lot of meat, those things will happen. Only, however, when you eat the meat with some kind of a sugar. And it's the combination of the two that makes it poison to the body. However, if the person just ate meat without the sugar complex, no gout, in fact, cholesterol will drop, everything, all the things that meat is notorious for does not take effect. So it really only becomes toxic when it's the combination of these two things, okay? Why did I come up with this analogy? The analogy is rules, when they are kind of by themselves or when they are mixed with a lack of depth, rules become very toxic. Okay, rules end up becoming the thing that kills you as opposed to makes you alive. When rules are combined with momentum, deeper understanding and learning, now you are refreshing, you are bringing a fresh energy, you're bringing the rules alive. There's another spiritual concept, for example, in a spiritual community, like let's say in the Kabbalah Centre, if we don't have new souls who come through those doors, let me phrase it this way. When new souls come, it brings new wisdom, it brings new energy. And you see what happens to very spiritual community who've been there 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, who are very high level consciousness people, like amazing people, but their energy elevates when they're in the presence of new souls who are just started, because these new souls bring a new fresh energy, new momentum, a refresh.
Well, it's also the way I imagine it is that it's like if we're all connected, when there's new connections, there's new sources of flow and energy for everyone.
That's right.
On the boat.
It's new energy. So your rules become poison if you do not learn deeper about the rules. If you do not refresh the rules, if you do not learn new dimensions about the rules. You must always be going deeper in order to bring life to your structure.
So it's almost like saying you need to challenge yourself.
You need to challenge yourself.
Why do I think that way? Where did I learn that? How do I know that's true? Where does it come from?
That's correct. Like, and I would have to audit my life right now and be like, what do I think I'm good at? Do I think I'm a good this or I'm a good that? And most likely, whatever area I think I'm good at, I'm not really challenging myself to go deeper and learn more, right? If I think I'm good, I don't know, let's say I think I'm a good father. I'm probably not reading books about how to be a good father or how to handle kids that are difficult because, hey, I'm handling this. But I should actually now, I'm not saying I am, but let's say I thought I was. Like, I think you're a good mom. You should probably now be reading even more books as if there was a problem in the house.
I have never read more parenting books in my life than I did this year.
You see, this is an example because I gave a call out once.
Not to toot my own horn, but that to reinforce it, it's like the openness to learn more is a measurement of performance. Like the people, the athletes that are out.
That's right.
Outdoing themselves are the ones that are trying.
When you break a record, you should go practice more. Right. And I think the point is all of us kind of need to look at our lives right now and be like, where am I excelling? I need to go even deeper, not slow down there. And this is what brings a freshness. This is what brings divine rules, new secrets. Because I listen to a lot of teachers, and it's the teachers that are always learning more and studying more and going deeper and like craving more, that they could teach the same lesson, but it has a new zest to it, has a new whatever. I know I have this new Kabbalah 1 coming out like in October or whatever, and I was thinking how to promote it because it's Kabbalah 1 again, another Kabbalah 1. This guy's taught 100. And I thought like the tagline would be a new Kabbalah 1. You're different, I'm different, see what the new content's all about. Because I'm different. I'm not the same person I was last year. So whatever class I'm going to teach, even if the curriculum is the same, the wisdom, the freshness. It's the freshness of the energy, the rules. There's a new structure is going to come down. Yeah, the first class is still going to be about pause. The second class is still going to be about the opponent.
The content doesn't change.
The content might change a little because I tend to do that too, but but
I'm saying the wisdom of Kabbalah doesn't change.
Correct.
It's the delivery. It's the inspiration. It's the
consciousness of the teacher and the evolving that he went or she went through, or the students.
The 88 inches are no longer the same molecules and vibration that they were last year, so you can't experience it the same way. That happens to people when they sit in a class, and maybe they've sat in the class. It also happens with the students that we have that are mentors, that they're like, I've never heard that before.
Exactly. And when people hear Kabbalah 1 the second time, it's like 100 times more powerful than they heard it the first time. Because the first time, it's such a shock to the system. But the second time, they've already grown so much. The vessel is very different to help receive this wisdom. Now, I want to add one more thing to this. I really want to get everyone who's listening to us excited about the newness concept, the new fresh energy. Because rules sound horrible when you're not refreshing and going deeper with those rules, to understand them deeper. Everything needs to be understood on a deeper level. It requires more practice. It requires more knowledge and more understanding.
So what we're really saying is all of that applies to you. You need to know you better. All of the areas in life where we're kind of on autopilot, that's where you need to double down.
We're usually on autopilot or in an area we're already doing well.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you don't have to think about it. It's natural. It's flowing. It's working.
Go deeper.
Go deeper. And in that sense, the questioning is not, you're not looking for fault. This is a way to proactively take what's happening, what's already good, to a better place, and what's faltering to a place of greater strength. The asking, how do I know that's true? Where did I learn that? Who programmed me with that? Not from a sense of blame, but just the realization that, my family comes from a culture where this is important. And I have to tell you, I may have shared this before, but it's from a couple of years ago, so I think it's really worth revealing again.
It's gonna be heard differently because we have new consciousness.
I'm actually realizing it on a different level right now, which is why I have to share it. I taught a Kabbalah 1 last year, and one of the students in the class was talking about how she's a perfectionist. Okay, and it's a very relatable thing, right? We work really hard, and you get deeper into perfectionism, you realize that it's really a preoccupation of what do people think. And she was getting very deep about it with her tikkun and everything. And she came to, I don't remember if it was class 5 or 6, and she asked if she could share. And what she shared is that she realized that her perfectionism, her quest for perfection, her need for perfectionism in everything comes from her upbringing. Why? Because her dad was in the Vietnam War, where making a mistake meant death. So in her family, mistakes were death. There was nothing you could do that was worse than making a mistake. And knowing that that's where it came from allowed her to release it.
Beautiful.
And so that's why I say, when you ask, where did I learn that? Who taught that to me? Not for the sake of saying, Dad made me a perfectionist and therefore my life has been miserable. It's rather, it may have been true for him when he was on the front lines, but it's not true in my house. It's not true at the supermarket. It's not true in my office. And to release that rule that things have to be perfect or that things have to be a certain way in order for them to be acceptable is a really healing experience. And that's what this can lead to.
That's beautiful. What amazes me about all of us is the lack of curiosity sometimes we have, because one of the gifts that the Creator gives us is He gives us other people who have already opened the portals of energy or wisdom through their personal experience and broken through. Low-hanging fruit for all of us is to find time to be curious and ask questions from people who have done things the right way or have succeeded in any way, and be inspired by them. Because you can actually download a whole new refresher on the rules that we have in our own lives just by talking to somebody else. And it's even more powerful than watching videos. It's more powerful than taking classes. It's taking the time to just say, hey, what are the 3-4 things that you do really well, and learning from them. I give this example. I say it all the time because it's so inspiring. Just last month, going on a walk with someone who I think is a phenomenal dad. And I said, tell me what makes you a phenomenal dad. Whatever's going to come out of his mouth is going to profoundly impact me, even if it's one concept. One little thing is going to totally change my whole viewpoint of rules around having kids. And I shared this before in a couple of seminars. I'm going to share it again. The one thing he said to me was, I've learned through the span of, I think his kids range from 4 or 5 all the way to 15. I've learned to be interested in what my kids want to do as opposed to making them interested in what I want to do. And it really just hit me as soon as I heard that, because let's say I like ping pong and I'm trying to force my kid to learn how to play ping pong because I want to play with him, as opposed to he likes Super Mario Brothers and I should actually refresh myself to learn how to play that. And I did that since he spoke to me, because I remember playing this game 20 years ago. And there was one level that my kid couldn't beat. So I said, hey, hand that to me. Let me do it. I beat that level for him. And he thought I was like, he's like, you're the cool. He said, you're the coolest. And he's never said that to me before, but it was because I decided to be interested in what he's interested in, as opposed to forcing the children to like or do the things that we're interested in. And that totally is a new refresher on the rules, quote unquote, whatever rules I have now, or spiritual system. But these new secrets are available on a daily basis that are correlating to our time, to your soul, to their soul. So we need to be learning more every day to download those rules. Otherwise, you're sitting there with spider webs and cobwebs on the rules that you picked up years ago, and you're holding on to these belief systems that are so antiquated, and they're not serving us anymore.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking of another another metaphor is like to think about how you move through your day and you do costume changes. Right? David, the moment you walk into the office, you're one version of David. The moment you walk through the door at home, you're another version of David. You go to visit your parents, you're another version of David, right? We have these constant costume changes. You're playing different roles, and we also have different rules about those roles, right? So if you don't think that if you're listening and you're like, I don't know what she's saying, if there's any part of your life that you dread walking into, any door that you dread opening, that you talk to yourself before you open the door and you say, it's going to be okay, I'm not going to get upset, you have a costume change you're going through when your hand is on the door handle and you're pep talking yourself into walking through that door. If you have moments like that, and we all do, question yourself. What am I wearing? What is this mask that I put on or that I feel I have to take off before I walk through this door? It's such a free, you don't realize you're holding yourself hostage by forcing yourself to follow rules in different areas of your life. If the goal is to be the person, to connect with your true essence and be the person that the Creator thinks you can be, you have to shed all of those rules and rewrite the rules, not from what people expect from you or what they think you are, what you've come to be known to be good at, but who are you really and what are you here to do?
Like Moses, we have to find new energy every 24 hours. We have to innovate every 24 hours. We should take time socially to find people who we feel we respect and learn from them. Ask them questions.
You could read books as well, even if you don't know the individuals in your life.
It's always more powerful. It's always more powerful to go to the source directly.
But people might be saying, I don't really look up to any of the people in my parent group or whatever. I don't have somebody
that's
that I look
false.
up
That's
to.
a whole nother tikkun. That's a whole nother limited. If you have no one in your circle you look up to, that you have a different kind
David
of problem.
has words for you.
Yeah, it's a different kind of belief system. But as you're listening to this, you could even text someone who you admire, something that they do even. Maybe you don't admire them wholly as a person, but maybe you admire that they are a good mom. And just text them right now and say, I have a question. What are 3 of the best pieces of advice you would give a mom? I love the way you do stuff. Give me 3. Just text them right now. Like, what's going to happen? Number one, you're going to make them feel great because like, wow, you're reaching out to me to get advice. Everybody feels really good when they get into that zone of being a mentor. People love mentoring. People love sharing their wisdom because you're allowing them to flow also. I know many times after we give a podcast or a seminar, when I walk off that stage, I'm a different person because information and content came through me because of the audience that is new for me. And now I have a whole new refresh on how I'm going to live my life and the rules I'm going to live them by. So you're giving an opportunity to someone to be a channel for you. How many times in a day are you allowing someone to be a channel for you? It's such a powerful thing. And you're going to grow and they're going to grow. So in summary, this is the week of totally hitting a reset, a refresher. The reason why we cannot see the future, which is what's available this week, is because there's stagnant energy. There is a lack of momentum. There's a lack of totally throwing away the old system to receive a new one. Every night before Moses went to bed, he threw away the old system. He said, most likely everything I did was wrong, and then he would receive a download. And it's important. Even the scientists talk about how important sleep is, because when a person sleeps, then something about the neuroplasticity of the brain helps you understand the day's lessons better, so that the next day it becomes a different kind of wisdom. So if a person doesn't get good REM sleep, their brain isn't able to fully download the lessons of that day to translate them into the wisdom of tomorrow. We know this Kabbalistically because it's the time where the soul and the body detach, and it's the soul is elevated into the upper worlds to start to receive this wisdom of tomorrow as well. So it's both explained through the physical and through the spiritual. But the power of one day, we cannot underestimate the power of the revolution of one day. A person can live a whole lifetime in one day. And we need to start living many lifetimes every day, as opposed to, many days in a whole lifetime.
For sure. And I think that as we are on the second half of this month, which is a positive, unlike any other month of the year, the second half of the month of Leo is more positive than the first half of the month. We want to shed that light, that the warmth of step into the light, see things for what they truly are. It's like when the fog burns off or the clouds disappear and you see what was truly there. That's really one of the gifts we have in this time. After these challenging 3 weeks are over, we have the ability to see things as they really were. And I would put money, even though I shouldn't, on the fact that the things that were most of the things that bothered you in the last 3 weeks aren't an issue right now. That's actually proof. Either the challenge dissipated or the person backed down or the struggle ended, and now you can see where the real work is. So let's use this week as that opportunity to get clarity on what's working for us, what's not working for us, and to shed those rules and those boundaries and those beliefs that are keeping us from living a more authentic, more aligned, more light-filled daily life. You may look back and say, wow, I've grown, but I'm miserable right now. We want to shift from that cloud over the head experience to really knowing, even though if I feel like I'm in the shade or there's a cloud above my head, I know that the light is there all the time. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also visit our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can find out more about the things that we talk about on every episode. And of course, like, rate, review, and share. If you haven't written a review about Weekly Energy Boost yet, and you've been a listener for some time, we invite you to do that. It helps us reach more people and create change all around the world. So we appreciate every review. We read every review and we appreciate every word. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.